on.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 meeting of the Chatham Airport Commission beginning at 5:01. This is a remote participation meeting only, and there will be a live broadcast on Channel 18. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, section 30A, subsection 18, and the governor's March 23rd, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Chatham Airport Commission is being conducted via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410 with the conference ID 314-149-801, followed by the pound sign. Or, if possible, you can join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. And before we start, and I'll make a roll call vote, roll call attendance. I did get a phone call from Commissioner Burke. He is ill and will not be with us this evening, although he did give me some information to pass on at a later time in the meeting. So, Commissioner Cortese?
Present.
Commissioner Donovan? Unmute.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Galen?
Present.
Commissioner Owens?
Present.
Commissioner Wilcox?
Here.
And Commissioner Harrison is here. During the meeting, I request that those people who are listening in to please keep, you can always use your hand to raise, but please mute your microphones. And also, commissioners, remember, pretty much same thing with you all, unless you have something to say, and then unmute yourself. But just to avoid any paper rattling or anything in the background. I think you know the drill at this point. So moving on to the minutes, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions in the minute? And if we don't have anything, I will say this, that the clerk, not Commissioner Galen, but an outside clerk has edited the minutes for us and passed them back, and I approve those. So I think moving forward, I think we're in pretty good shape with them. So if anyone has any comments on them, let it be known at this time. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as they are.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second, okay. Let's see, I just want to take a note here. All right, roll call. Commissioner Cortese?
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan?
Yes.
Commissioner Galen?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox?
Here.
Do you
Yes.
accept the minutes? Thank you. Commissioner Harrison, yes. All right. Are there any public announcements and agenda item requests? I would ask Commissioner Galen to read the policy prior to the public.
I will. Each airport commission meeting shall begin with public announcements and agenda item requests, following approvals of the minutes, which just happened. This portion of the meeting shall not in its entirety exceed 20 minutes. Each recognized speaker during public announcements and agenda item requests shall keep his or her remarks to no more than 3 minutes. Generally, remarks that are to be considered appropriate for this portion of the meeting are those that do not encourage debate, but rather are more simple announcements, requests, or statements of interest. If a subject, in the opinion of the chairman of the commission or the majority of its members, would better be addressed as a future agenda item because it warrants public notice and or debate, then the chairman shall restrict the comments and or declare them out of order. Previous actions and or deliberations of the airport commission are not appropriate for discussion during public announcements and agenda item requests.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So, are there any agenda item requests? Please raise your hand so I can see who you are. Let's see if I can do this here. I see a hand up. Let me go over here. Oh, it's you. I'm sorry. I thought it was somewhere else. Okay. Commissioner Wilcox.
I'm not sure what the status is on the master plan. Has that been completed and submitted?
Yes.
It has been. Okay. Then I can't do an agenda request because I had wanted to review it. I've been asking to review it before it got sent to the FAA, but apparently that isn't going to happen. Thank you.
I can say this. A lot of the information in the master plan will be addressed as we receive data from the EA process, the environmental assessment. And as we go through that, that will bring up certain topics from the master plan that we can go through at that time.
I understand, but if there were any changes to be made prior to its submission, then they should have been done prior to with their questions. That's all.
Well, considering the amount of time we spent on it over the last few months, I would suspect that any changes that people wanted to make would have been addressed at that time.
Oh, I've been asking about, okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I see Mr. Bixby's hand.
Yeah, am I unmuted here?
Nope, you're talking.
All right. I don't know when the right time to bring this up is, but I'm looking at your meeting materials here. There's an RFQ for consultant services that people have called me and written me and said they don't understand. You got all this scribbling in here.
Yeah, I'm going to address that during the meeting. Can you hold on?
Is this going to be, but it's a document for the meeting that's for some people is unintelligible, or are you going to act on this at this meeting, or is this just a draft for future consideration?
I will explain that when we get to that part in the meeting. And
when you get to that part, will people be able to weigh in? Because right now there's a lot of confusion over it. Or are we going to have to wait till comment until the meeting's over?
We'll see how it goes, but I imagine I'll allow that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other future agenda item requests from the public? I see another hand here, but let me see if I can, David oh, that's you. You still have another one?
Yeah, well, I'm here. I might as well. A lot of these
future agenda items.
Yeah, a lot of these future agenda items, I look online and it says to be announced. It never seems like we ever get to the announcement. Are we ever going to Could you put a schedule in or something so that we have a
Well,
sense that this
The
will?
schedule that we have up there is basically the best I can do right now. A lot of those two TBDs that you notice in the agenda item requests are based on the environmental assessment. And as I said a few minutes ago, a lot of those will be addressed as we go through the environmental assessment.
Okay, and then could maybe put a note into that effect. And then the other thing is some of them you've switched from to be announced to a written response is in the works. Do we have any idea when those might happen?
Yeah, I'm working with the town to get a lot of those responses put up on the website, and we're making some progress with that.
It'd be nice if we had some indication of when we might expect to see those.
I was hoping, to be honest with you, I was hoping to tell you that all the responses that we have put together would be up tonight. But as I looked before the meeting, it hasn't happened. So I am working on it, in between meetings to get things organized on our website. They'll be there. That's basically all I can say.
All right, one last question. Waiting a month every time to talk about any of this stuff is not conducive to getting things done. Can we contact you directly through the Airport Commission site if we want to communicate with you on some of these issues?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, I check the Airport Commission email 2-3 times a week to see what comes in.
Great.
And if you have something, I will try to respond to it. If it's something I need to check out with another source, it might take a while for me to get back to you, but I'll do the best I can.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else for future agenda item requests?
Yes, Chairman Harrison, Paula Lofgren here. I do have my hand raised.
I see it now.
Okay, thank you. I have a future agenda item request. A presentation and discussion of the airport's carbon emission policy and the efforts to help combat climate change here in Chatham and Cape Cod. As a municipal airport, I'm interested in how your operations and master plan initiatives align with Chatham's designation as a Massachusetts green community. And in what ways is CQX joining the work of local organizations such as Chatham Climate Action Network, the Cape Cod Climate Change Initiative, and Cape Air to aggressively reduce greenhouse gas emissions in order to protect our fragile environment? Thank you. I can send that to you in writing if you'd like.
Yes. Yes. My shorthand's not very good.
There you go.
I would appreciate, yeah, send it to the Airport Commission email and then I can address that.
Thank you.
Or I can put it on an agenda down the line. Some of that will probably be addressed through the environmental assessment.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I see another hand up. All I have is an initial E. So whoever you are, you're on.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
there it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is just a quick question. I don't know if any of you are located at the airport, but within the last 10 minutes, a C-130 has been circling over the airport and looked like it was going to land there, and then did almost a touchdown and has been circling. So I don't know if, would they notify you that they're doing that?
Yes, we've been notified. It's the, I'll do the best I can, and Tim Howard could probably chime in if I don't get the details correct, but it's the Rhode Island National Guard, and they are using our airport this evening for, because it is, it is conducive to low pass training.
I can help you out.
Go ahead.
It basically simulates their mission, which is forward combat support, and our airport is small and gives them something different to train against. than their normal large runways because they're trained to go into forward undeveloped airports that are small. And a runway like ours would be somewhat similar to stuff they might see in a combat situation.
Thank you.
Okay, does that help?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. I guess I don't see any others, so I guess we can, no, I see Commissioner Owens, you had something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I thought that was a new skydiving plane.
Sorry.
Ha,
Everyone loves a comedian. Okay. I don't think I have anyone else. Let's move on. The next thing is we've got public comments on new business items, which would be item, well, probably it's the RFQ item E. If anyone has a question on that, I mean, we're going to get to it. So, Ms. Gibbs, your hand is still up. Is that from before? Nope. Okay. I don't see any others. So, all right, we'll go to there it is.
All right.
Go ahead.
I just, when you get to the, this is on any of the agenda items, correct? You public comment on any of the agenda items?
Yeah, the ones for tonight. Yes.
Okay, yes. Mine is related to the use of the airport by the New England Helicopter Pilot Association. I was wondering during that discussion if you could just talk a little bit about what the overall policy is for outside organizations to rent the airport, you know, how the fees are determined, and if those fees go to the airport commission or the airport manager or how they're allocated. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and move forward on new business commissioner reports. I've got several here myself. The Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Grant, that was a $30,000 grant from the FAA, which we have applied for, and it's based on just about, well, it's for payments of invoices that we had during the coronavirus over the last situation over the last year, and the government is, FAA is willing to pay $30,000 for invoices that were incurred during that time period. And I went to the finance director in town, and we put together a list of invoices to take in order to take advantage of the CARES Act, and we have submitted them to the FAA, and we're just waiting now for the reimbursement. I haven't heard anything as to whether or not, you know, they accepted it or not yet, but I assume no news is good news, and they'll move forward with it. In fact, just so everyone knows, I can't put my hand on it, but we came up with, I think we were $3 short of 30,000 with the invoices that we picked. So we were very close to utilizing the entire grant. The Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act, the CRRSA grant, we have also applied for. That's a $13,000 grant that is purely for items that were in response to the coronavirus. In other words, it could be cleaning materials, sanitizing materials. It could be, I believe it could be payment of someone to come in and clean, deep clean if we had to do that. I'm working with the airport manager, Mr. Howard, on putting together some items for this. We don't reached the 13,000 with it, that's fine, but we haven't yet completed that. The next thing is the hangar update. Let me just bring it up on my, I'm working with two computers here, so just bear with me. No, here I am. Okay. Hangar update. The hangar status. Currently, all hangars have tenants and all leases are current and have been signed. And the wait list is up to date. We're waiting for one tenant to pay for this so far this year, and a notification email has been sent. This individual usually pays the full year, but he has been notified, and we're just waiting for that. As far as insurance certificates are concerned, we have one person is in between airplanes, so he does not have an insurance certificate yet, but he's still paying for his hangar. And the other one we just received this afternoon. So essentially, we're up to date with all the insurance certificates, and that's basically the current status on the hangars. Our revenue from that so far to date, I believe overall, my numbers, and I'm checking with the town to make sure that we're on the same page with the numbers. My numbers show that we're close to $80,000 in revenue since we've taken over the hangars. And I'm double checking that with the town. Does anyone out there have any, I see some questions on that. Let's see. Ms. Gibbs, is that from before, or I see your hand up? Okay, Commissioner Wilcox.
I was just looking over the lease agreements, and payments are supposed to be made on a quarterly basis on the, what is it, January 1st, April 1st, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't appear as though all of these payments are coming in on a timely basis if under this sheet, the dates that they're indicating coming in, they indeed get received. So I'm just wondering what the problem is on that. And there's one in here for $420. What in heaven's name is that for?
That was a payment in advance.
For?
December, a month of December. The hangar was vacant, and the person to hold the hangar paid $420 for it.
You're saying December of last year, or this?
Yes.
Well, I don't.
2020.
Oh, okay. Well, it's paid in.
And now it was paid, and the person's up to date now because I got the January payment as well.
Oh, okay. It's on a quarterly basis. We should be getting about $12,000, and it just the numbers don't seem to jive.
I agree with you, but I'm the one who's chasing these people down, and we're getting the money. It's just not coming in right on time. And I don't have the time to go out and chase them down, other than I send emails to them, said, it's time to pay. Please pay. And then I have to send another email later, and so on. So,
okay, just
trust me, I'm going after them.
No, I'm sure you are. May I have one other question? You were talking about invoices that the FAA is going to pay. What invoices, for instance, what are they? And
Oh, well, I was looking for my sheet. Hold on. I apologize. I can't put my hand on it right now. I don't know where I put it. I didn't think I'd have to answer that question, so I didn't have that piece of paper out. Let me see. I may have it in my file. Basically, the person who got the bulk of the money was the person who usually does our maintenance for us. If you're looking at the revolving fund, it's Dale Rival.
It's who?
Dale Rival.
Okay, because I was looking under the invoices and I don't remember what category it was under, but
Oh,
there's
wait a minute,
almost,
Susan, I found it.
oh, yay.
I've got MAP-free insurance, Dennis Jordan Electric, Milton Cat, Dale Rival has 4 or 5 in there, and Cape Cod Flying Circus for work done on the perimeter fencing.
I thought this was COVID-related stuff.
No, that's the other one.
Okay, well, what about this COVID-related stuff? Then?
I'm still working on that with Tim Howard. We haven't gotten very far with that yet.
All right, well, then the $5,000 or $6,000 that of invoices that are in the 4820, that's for Tim doing Cape Cod Circus working on the fences. Is that what that's for?
Yes. They
Thank
charge us for the hours, the labor that they have, that they put in with that.
Okay, thank you.
And they've been clearing the fence line for the last several months. It's like painting the George Washington Bridge. Once you finish, you got to start again. So, I mean, that's an exaggeration, but basically it's a big job. Okay, is that good? We good? Susan, we good? All right, David?
Yeah, on the hangars. Do we have a written hangar policy yet?
Yeah, the lease agreement.
So I mean a written policy for how the whole process works, not each individual lease.
I don't know what you mean.
A policy for how the wait list is managed, what the rules are, who gets priority under what conditions.
I believe we went over that either the last meeting or the meeting before that, either February or January. You might want to check the minutes.
So there is or isn't a written hangar policy?
Is it written? I believe.
If it's not,
I'd have to go back and check. I'll put it down as a note. And
we really ought to have a written policy that describes what the rules are.
Okay.
The next question is, where can we review a tenant list of the who's in the hangars?
The town has it.
Is it public? Is it listed?
Yeah, should be. I mean, the leases are public.
Okay. Next question is, where is the wait list? Is that public?
The wait list right now is in my hands.
Shouldn't that be public as well?
I haven't put it there yet, but we certainly can.
I think all that should be public, and it should be part of the written policy, so everybody understands what's going on. On the COVID funds, do those payments go to the airport or to the manager?
No, the COVID funds would come to the airport.
Okay, thank you.
And I might ask, and I'm not trying to stonewall here, but why would you want to know what the wait list is?
Why wouldn't I?
No, don't answer a question with a question.
I think it's a matter of public interest that anything that involves public facilities where people are trying to access and use the public facilities, that should all be transparent and public. So you don't have the appearance of favoritism. I know the town has had a lot of experience with this, would say the boat moorings, and there's been a lot of issues over the years, and I think the town has slowly tightened up on all that kind of stuff. I don't see any reason why the public facilities, the use of public facilities shouldn't be public and transparent.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know. All right. The next item here is something I sent to the planning board with regard to, let me see if I can bring it up. Well, it's in the document. If anyone has any questions on it, what I did was I let them know that we'd be more than happy to work with them on the situation with regard to the density and land use planning coordination for the West Chatham Neighborhood Center. And I told them that I'd be more than happy to sit in on a meeting with them. And that's, I haven't received a response yet, but the information that I sent them, the letter is in the documentation for the meeting. Let's see. Ms. Wilcox, go ahead.
Did I didn't, sorry, didn't mean
I
to.
saw your hand up.
Sorry.
Okay. David, you still have a question, or is this
This is a new question
a new question?
on the planning committee. The contract for the development of the airport master plan as a condition called for coordination with the local planning agencies. Why? I don't think that was ever done. Why are we doing that now after the master plan has already been submitted?
Are you talking about the MPO?
Well, that also, the MPO is a countywide body, but the local planning commission is also a planning agency. I believe you should have had coordinated with both of them, so that we didn't have a planning commission. Turn that off. So we have
Well, you know, the
planning commission working on zoning within the runway protection zone, for instance.
Well, Chairman Donovan, if you read the letter that I wrote, Chairman Donovan at the time in 2019 had a meeting with that committee about the runway protection zones.
So why then is the planning commission pursuing residential use of properties within the zoning for residential use of property within the runway protection zone? I think that came as a big surprise to all of us. That should happen.
You'll have to go to their meeting and find out. Well, I don't know.
Respectfully, that's your responsibility.
No.
I'm waiting for a response to my letter.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see.
Excuse me,
Who's that?
Mike Galen.
Oh, go ahead.
David, it's Mr. Bixby, it's our responsibility to inform them, as Chairman Harrison did. After that, it's their responsibility when it comes to zoning. We have no say in zoning.
The town does.
You're right.
Right,
that's what as sponsor has that responsibility. If you read the grant assurances, and that's why I asked last meeting, who is the sponsor? Because I don't think.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Mr. Whalen, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're getting off track, and just to be clear, again, the coordination has been happening. The airport commission doesn't have jurisdiction over land use, and the process they need to coordinate, and they have been doing that. And we can have that. That's a different discussion when that comes back. But you're getting off track of what's on the agenda, and you're allowing speaking during the out of the order of the agenda.
It's absolutely on track. We're talking about this letter that went, and this stuff should have been done as part of the planning effort with the airport master plan. It's absolutely germane to the discussion. And this discussion of who the sponsor is and what your role versus the town, I think, remains unaddressed. It
was addressed by town council on December 1st. Right. That's the best I can do. If you don't agree with that, I'm sorry.
Right, and also technically, at the end of the day, a town meeting determines what gets approved by zoning.
So we go to town meeting with the airport commission and the planning commission, and then we all sit down and talk about what the grant assurances are. That's when all this takes place. I don't think so, Terry, to be honest, really.
Well, I think you'd have to address, I mean, we've done our due diligence with it. I think you'll have to address.
Yeah, I would
Else.
suggest, if I can, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bixby, why don't you give me a call and we can talk about the processes and the land use process and what's happening and what's not happening and the laws in Massachusetts.
I'm pretty familiar with them. Okay, thank you.
And, okay, so everything's good?
I didn't say that.
Oh, darn.
I'm willing to go along with your implied motion to table the discussion.
Commissioner Wilcox. I see your hand up. No, yes? Okay. Commissioner Cortese.
Yeah, I just wanted to back up the fact that the town sponsor was discussed in the December meeting with the joint meeting, and I believe the hangar policies were as well. So this has all been discussed, can be viewed in the previous recordings. Thank you.
Well, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
Does the town then have the authority to impose?
I believe we need to stay on track with the meeting. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
Mr. Bixby, we're going to move on.
Okay.
The Airport Revolving Fund report, and Mr. Burke is not here this evening. It's a standard monthly report. Again, I will reiterate, do not worry about negative numbers. A lot of that has to do with when revenue comes in or hasn't come in at that point in time. The hangar revenue here is $68,990. We have, as I said, we've received approximately $10,000 more than that since that was published. Let's see. Ms. Lofgren.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Just a quick question. You mentioned the company Rival Dale. It says Rival Dale, but you mentioned Dale Rival. What is that?
It's the same thing. It's just how the town puts it in the listing.
What is it that their company does?
They repair things for us. Hangars, a variety of things. The revolving light up on top, the beacon, whole variety of things.
They're a maintenance company, correct?
Yeah, they're a maintenance company.
Okay. Thank you.
And they're not local. Well, yes, they are. Actually, they are. I see another one here. Okay, we're good. Nope, not another one. We're good to move on. Let's see. Fisherman storage area, Commissioner Owens. You got to unmute, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just not much update as far as progress. We're working, slowly working with the town to relocate the fisherman storage area and exploring some different avenues of the best use of the property. We're hoping to move forward at a much faster pace in the coming 3 or 4 months in both relocating the area, the storage area, and plans for future use. I'd like to ask Matt from Gale Associates if there's any update on the land survey progress.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Commissioner Owens, yeah, I did hear back from Mass DOT. So we submitted a pre-application to see if it would be something that they would fund for the property survey from George Ryder Road out behind the fisherman storage area, and Mass DOT has agreed to fund that project at an 80-20 split. So I put in an estimated cost of $5,000 for that. I've heard back from the surveyor. He provided me with a number of 3,756. So I'm just working with him to finalize the scope of work and make sure that the fee is correct. And then I'll be passing that along to the commission for their consideration. And then we'll submit a formal application to Mass DOT.
Thank you very much.
And do we, just out of curiosity, do we have any, do we have to wait till all this happens before the work can be done, or?
What's the question exactly? To go out there
Well-
and do the actual cutting and stuff?
Yeah, the actual survey.
Or survey? So what's going to happen is Mass DOT is going to issue a grant award for that particular project, and as long as the work is done before June 30th, it'll be eligible for reimbursement.
Okay, now is that something we'll have to pay for out of pocket? Yes.
You're correct. Yeah, it's similar to like the AIP projects. You'll pay for that, then you'll submit your reimbursement request to Mass DOT, and then they'll reimburse you 80% on the ASMP project.
Okay. All right, that helps. All right. Thank you, Commissioner
Matt.
Owens. And thank you, Matt. Commissioner Galen, Public Relations.
Okay, at this point, what we've been doing is trying to update the website with all the documents that have been assembled from the last several months, or maybe several years, including responses to requests and questions, as well as documents that are produced by different government bodies. That's our first and primary objective at this point in terms of communication with the community at large. Just as an update on where we were with an outside firm to help us in communication, we had 2 misfires, so to speak, with 2 firms we talked to. One had to withdraw due to some conflict of interest issues, and the second one withdrew because they were frankly too busy to take on another public client at the time. So we've holding off on going outside until we feel it's more appropriate and a bit more necessary at this point. And that's where we're at.
Okay. Thank you very much. Commissioner Cortese, do you have anything for general aviation?
I'm going to postpone to next month.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Wilcox, do you have anything for community issues? Other
I
than the
do.
overriding community issues?
I've been getting requests about why some of the relevant agenda items have been overlooked. Some have been in there for 5 or 6 months. And like the runway approach alternative, decision altitude. And again, I had been requesting for the last several months a review of the master plan, and that just got completely overlooked. So there are some concerns about those issues not being addressed on a timely basis. And also concerns about the Environmental Assessment Act assessment program, where it's standing and what has happened within the last month.
No, we're going to get that this evening.
We're going to get that this evening?
We'll get it, yeah, in the engineer's report.
There's nothing in the package. All right, I'm a visual person. Matt, I would like to request, you're going to be giving a package, and I'd like to be able to see it so I can follow what you're saying. So could I request something ahead of time on that?
Sure. May I just jump in, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So every month, and I'm assuming you get it in the commission package that you receive, but Gail does put out our monthly update. And so for this month, there really is nothing to update because we're still in the data collection phases of the environmental assessment. So there is no presentation, there's no supplemental package accompanying my update this evening. So there is nothing that you're missing at this time.
I'm sorry. That's my,
Someone's phone is ringing.
that's me, hold on.
Why don't you mute your microphone? And then you can take the call. Okay, Matt, thank you.
You're welcome.
So anyway, Susan, the information you want is basically in our package. It's the Gale's report for this month for the EA. I assume you picked up the package. No, you're muted, sorry. You're muted, sorry.
There's no further information on what plans they've been progressing with, what the standing is on the plans, whether they've been approved or I mean, just a general overview of what's going on.
Okay, well, at the last meeting, we had that general overview with Richard Doucette from the FAA.
Correct.
That's basically where we're at now. It's still in the data collection stage. Why don't you hold that, and when we get to the engineer's report,
Okay,
we'll
thank
bring
you.
you up to date.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, that takes care of commissioners' reports. The next is a request for use of airport property. This is something it's an action item. Commissioner Cortese, did you have anything regard to?
Yeah, I just, thank you, Commissioner Harrison. Just wanted to, Chairman Harrison, just wanted to reiterate, the master plan was reviewed, revised, and then voted on. And so that should be all taken care of. And then any approach discussions, which I believe are later in the package, should be discussed, and we'll bring that up, in my opinion, when there's a relevant topic to make a decision based on it. Other than that, we need the information required to make those decisions, and then we'll look for everyone's information and comments at that point. Thank you.
I'd like to respond to that, please. I appreciate your input, sir. But there's been approaches that have been put into the master plan that are not, the commission is going to need to request a revision on the length of the runway for the approach that's been submitted. And that's a major concern.
I didn't realize that was the case. I don't think we have that information yet.
We don't have any information on that.
We don't have any, that we haven't, all we've submitted is a plan.
We don't know if it's even here is plan.
My understanding is that the new approach with the GPS requires a 3,200 minimum of 3,200 feet.
We're getting off topic here. We're not going to go there until we're ready to talk about it. When we have the data.
Okay.
Okay.
But he's saying that it hasn't. It's been finalized, and it hasn't been.
No, it hasn't been.
Nothing's been finalized, and I didn't say that. I said when we have the relevant information to make a decision, then we should discuss that. At this point, it's just a waste of time.
Your opinion, and
that's what I said. Thank you.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Request for use of airport property, New England Helicopter Pilots Association. Mr. Burke, I know you called in. The information about the request is in the handouts, or in the package. And Mr. Burke wants to host a meeting of this organization in September on a Thursday, and it's a kind of a reunion type of thing that they're putting together. And Mr. Burke, are you online?
I am.
Would you like to elaborate and discuss? Tell everyone.
This is a reunion that we have every year, and we move around. We had it in Portsmouth, New Hampshire 2 years ago. We couldn't have it last year because of COVID. It involves about 30 individuals. We're requesting a use of a small area for a small clam bake that would be about 3 hours long. Right near the old skydiving area there, we would have people who would arrive both by aircraft and by car. So the facility is ideally suited. We don't need any help from airport personnel. We don't need any facilities. We'll have our own toilets and so forth. No alcohol will be served or brought on the property. It's catered by a completely self-contained local caterer who will just do a small clam bake. The purpose of this main function of this organization is aviation safety, although it's now mostly our retired members. I would suspect that we probably have maybe, 4 or 5 aircraft that might be in. These are people who come from all over the country, so they will be patronizing local hotels, restaurants, of course, buying fuel at the airport and eating here. I think it's good for the airport. It's good for aviation. It's certainly supporting aviation. And Chatham would be a wonderful place for this organization to see. Wouldn't be more Cape Cod than Chatham.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a good idea. I think it's nice that we'll be able to support this group. Although we do have to vote on it. Are there any comments from the commissioners?
Question?
Go ahead.
You said in this letter that it's from 1985 to 2005. Where do you normally hold this event in the last 15 years? I know you said because of COVID, there wasn't one last year. I'm just curious. Where have you been holding?
No, we've only had a couple of these reunions since that time. It's been rather informal up until now. I was just identifying the period of time in that letter that when the organization was very large at that time, it's now shrunk down. We have a bunch of members who live on the West Coast. We have some who live right here on Cape Cod. I live in Chatham, as you probably know, about a half a mile from the airport. I'll be on site the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something we've only done a few times.
Okay. So we don't charge anything for them to use the land, do we, Mr. Chairman?
I'm still working on that.
Oh. Okay.
Probably not. It depends on what kind of services or anything. He said, Mr. Burke just said they're all self-contained, which is, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine.
Can I say something on this?
Yes, Commissioner Cortese, go ahead.
Thank you. I think this is a wonderful use of the airport, and we've done this in many times past with other aviation groups at different airports, and it's a great place for pilots to gather. And it brings revenue to the town, which is even better.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm not taking comments from the public, so we're going to move to. Can someone make a motion to accept the use of the airport for the New England Helicopter
Motion to
Pilots
accept.
Association?
Second.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't write it down. Who was the made the motion?
Chairman Huntley, Michael did.
And I seconded Hunt.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Wilcox. Okay. So, any discussion? Further discussion by the commissioners? Okay. All in favor? Oh, I got to. I'm sorry. Sorry. Commissioner Cortese?
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan?
Yes.
Commissioner Galen?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox?
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrison, yes, it carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome, John. We'll move on to the airport manager's report.
Good evening, everyone. Past month was another slow one. However, you have your guard report there for last month, February, attached. So you got the guard report, and we've already just on the agenda addressed the letter from Mr. Burke, so that's been completed. We continue with fence line clearing and the perimeter fence work as before, and really have nothing else new to report at this time. If there's any questions, anything, I am happy to answer. Otherwise, that is the manager's report for this month.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the, not hearing any other questions, do I hear a motion to accept the manager's report?
Can I ask
So
a
moved.
question? May I ask a question?
Oh,
Please?
okay, yep, go ahead.
Is this the old business or we just the report, or I have a question about the old business that's on his report?
Oh, you mean the crack ceiling?
Yes,
Yes, the crack ceiling.
yeah. Well, not the crack ceiling. A hangar two, are those hangars that that the airport is receiving rental income on, or are those
Yes.
hangars?
Yes.
18 hangars are the airport commission owned hangars.
They are?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Bixby, did you have a question for Mr. Howard?
Yes, when the helicopter people have their picnic, would that be inside the fence or outside the fence? Would it be operational, airport operational grounds, or off operational grounds?
Inside the fence and off.
Pardon? I'm sorry, I
Inside
missed
the
that.
fence and off operational grounds.
Inside the fence and off operational area?
Correct.
Thank you. Is it? Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the manager's report?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I've got Mr. Galen as making the motion and seconded, please.
Second.
And Wilcox. Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Cortese? To accept the manager's report?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Donovan?
Yes.
Commissioner Galen?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox?
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrison, yes. Thank you very much. And we'll go on to the engineer's report. Mr. Karen.
Okay, good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Matt Karen with Gale Associates. The one project that we're administering on behalf of the Airport Commission is the environmental assessment. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, this month there is not a robust update. We are still in the process of collecting data in terms of the bike path, in terms of the archaeological reconnaissance survey, and the vegetation management plan. If you recall from last month's meeting when we had Richard Doucette of the FAA on the call, we are working hand in hand with the FAA. So as this information's coming in and we're processing it, we're working with FAA to make sure that we're fleshing out all of the alternatives that we want to explore as part of the environmental assessment. And once we pull all of that information, that data together, we'll put it together in a draft format, and I'll be making a much more formal presentation to the Airport Commission. And of course, we'll be getting that information out to the commission in advance of a future meeting. So at this point in time, Mr. Chairman, still in the data collection phase, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this point regarding the EA.
Mr. Bixby. I guess his hand was up from before. Okay. Moving on, the next topic is the professional consultant services 2021 request for qualifications. Oh, we gotta, I'm sorry, we gotta accept it. I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to accept the engineer's report?
Can I ask a question first, please?
Yep.
Yeah, would it be possible for me to get just some of the information on the alternatives that are being looked at and the status on that before this thing?
Which alternatives are you referring to?
For the environmental assessment. He was saying that they're reviewing alternatives and the data, so I'm just wondering if I could just see something about what they're reviewing and the status of where it is at present.
I believe
Those
it's in a
those
data.
alternatives are in the airport master plan.
If you're talking about the approach alternatives, that's in chapter 6 of the master plan.
Correct.
No, I'm not talking about the approach, the environmental assessment. You said that there were alternatives that they were reviewing.
There are, yeah. So the preferred alternative from the airport master plan is what is being evaluated in the environmental assessment. So
Okay.
that's what you'd want to look at to get a better handle on what exactly we're looking at from an environmental standpoint, whether or not environmentally it's feasible to implement that type of preferred alternative.
Okay. If I have any questions, can I give you a buzz, Matt? Would that be possible?
I guess I'll defer that question to the chairman. I'm happy to take any phone call or correspondence, but Mr. Chairman, if you may prefer that to go through you, I don't know. I don't want to step on any toes, so I'm going to defer that to the chairman, please.
Yeah, I think the commissioners should go through me and let me know.
I'd be happy to direct my questions to you.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
I can forward them on. Okay. So on to the request for qualifications and consultant services.
Wait, excuse me.
You're going to vote on
Oh,
this?
yeah, we still have to, sorry. All right. We need a motion to accept the engineer's report.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept. Thank you, Mr. Cortese. Second,
Second,
thank you, Mr. Owens. And going down the list, Commissioner Cortese,
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan,
Yes.
Commissioner Galen,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
yes.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Yes.
and Commissioner Harrison. Yes, 6-0 accept. Thank you very much. Now we can move on. Sorry about that. All right. Basically the important page is the first page in your package. And then I'll explain the other pages as we go on. And I know that Mr. Whalen is here and he and I have worked on this and we'll explain why we have the markup as we do. But we have a set of deadlines here or what it's called milestones and deadlines. These are very, very similar to the ones that we used when we went out for proposals the last time, 5 years ago in 2016. And there's a lot to be done between now and July 1st, when the contract with Gale expires. And we need to push ahead with this because not only do we have to advertise, but then we have to get the responses. And then after we get the responses, we have to vet those responses and see who of the responses provides the services that suit our purposes the best. And so that timeline that you see there is the one that we used last time. It worked very well. And what Mr. Whalen and I did was just to go through that and adjust the dates accordingly for 2021. The next section, the three options that are listed, are different ways that we can approach the selection of the company that we are going to use. This is really administrative work that I work with the town on, or the commission works with the town on, with regard to procurement and the processes that are involved with that. The three items you can see here is independent commissioner. Let me explain what that is. The independent commissioner option would require each commissioner, once we get information back from the ads that we publish, and let's say we have three companies, just as an example, then each commissioner would have to go out and vet each company, would have to make phone calls to various airports that these companies have served. And you have to, there's a form that I remember, I was on the committee last time that did this. It was last time it was a working group, which I'll get to next. But we spent a lot of time with forms making phone calls to airports to find out how the various companies serve their needs. And if they, I don't happen to have a copy of the form here this evening, but I will at the next meeting. So that has to all take place as soon as we get responses back from the very. Next is the working group. And that is a group of, and the last time we did it, which worked very well, it was a group of 2 commissioners who took the responses, and each of us, I was one of the commissioners, and former Commissioner Patterson was the other one, and we took those responses and made our calls to the various airports. We also called the individual contractors and asked them some questions. It was very efficient way of doing it, and from my point of view, it would be, to me, it would be the preferred method. The subcommittee method is very similar to, as you can see, it's a subcommittee of the Airport Commission, which would involve working meetings, and I don't know how many of those there would be, but that subcommittee would have to work and do essentially what the independent commissioners would do, except it would be a group of maybe 3, maybe 4 individuals in the subcommittee. If it's a posted subcommittee, you can work with more than 3, as far as I know. Mr. Whalen, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. So your quorum is 4, correct?
Okay, right. So to me, I think to me, the working group, having been through it, is the my preferred method, but I do want to have some discussion on it among the commissioners. You can see there a suggested motion. We'll come back to the options in a moment. The suggested motion that Mr. Whalen and I put together, and once we decide which option we want to go with, we'll just insert that into the motion. Now, going on to the attachments and the markups, the first one that you see there, services for public building projects, is pretty standard for cities, towns, and so on, and how we have to approach procurement. Mr. Whalen, could you please elaborate on this?
Sure, thank you. So yeah, and if you want, I can pull them up on the screen if it helps as well.
Yeah,
I know there were some questions from the public, so if you give me 1 second. So right now I've got the, I'm moving towards the first markup. And as the chair just noted, so these attachments were really just put in here for informational purposes for commissioners. The last time this was done was back in 2016, and you know the contract with its imminent expiration on July 1 triggers starting this process. And as the chair went through, you know, the schedule lays out a lot of the required steps. Quite frankly, a lot of things that are a lot of the milestones are in there. With the dates that are given are driven by some of the statutory requirements. So that's what I'm just going to go through right here. So with this first chart was just really to show that you know, in following the compliance with procurement, this needs to be a RFQ process, and again, that's the request for qualifications process. So that's the process that was used back in 2016, and then there's a 14-day minimum notice requirement, which would be reflected in that schedule. So this is really the backup on where some of that information is from in the schedule. And then for the next markup, so this project, request for qualifications RFQs for design services, also require posting in the central register. So that's again, a formal mechanism. That's a requirement of the act, but it also gets broadcast to subscribers. And many firms watch this on a regular basis. So it's quite frankly probably the primary way that the message gets out that the commission is seeking statement of qualifications or responses to the RFQ. So this is just showing a markup again. So just trying to educate commissioners so that because they probably haven't done this before, but just showing what goes on. So essentially, we're just proposing, we're following all of the same steps. Obviously, we had a change in chairmanship, and obviously the change of date. So if the commission votes to approve or to issue an RFQ this evening, we would place this ad in the central register. That needs to be done by tomorrow. So their deadline is the Thursday for the following Wednesday. So that's what some of these dates mean. So basically this needs to get entered into the state procurement database by 4 p.m. tomorrow. And then the actual notice would be published on March 17th. And in that other chart, I also showed that there was a requirement for an ad to be placed in the local newspaper. So that would also happen as well. And actually that date, actually I'm looking at my chart here. Actually, that needs to be actually that would be the 18th, where that would appear in the Cape Cod Chronicle. So that, again, to meet the minimum 14-day requirement before the deadline. So again, the proposal here is to use the same exact ad and just change the chair and the new deadline for submission, which would be 2 p.m. on April 9th. And this, the next markup just again shows, so you can see what the previous RFQ included. So it would just be, again, essentially changing the dates, changing some of the contact information, and the only kind of substantive change, if you will, is the inclusion of the current projects that are in the AIP, CIP as potential projects. So it's just to give some context of what, just like we did back in 2016. So again, basically just taking the capital improvement plan that the commission, MassDOT, and FAA have all approved, and using those as the bullet points. And again, so that's really what is the RFQ. And as the chair noted, we'll get responses back, and you'll review it. But I'll just point out too, I did include just the advisory circular again for some context. So what's interesting about this type of procurement, typically where you're dealing with, I'll call it 2 levels, because at the town level, we need to comply with state procurement. But at the end of the day, at this procurement, we're really doing procurement to satisfy 3 different levels. So it satisfies procurement requirements at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. So everything in the information provided complied with all those requirements. So that's why it's structured as it is, so that it complies with these 3 levels of procurement requirements.
Okay. Let's go back to the first page where the options are. And I'd like to ask the commissioners if they have any questions. I see Ms. Wilcox, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, again, I was asking if we might be able to postpone this until April 14th. Is that a possibility? Because it seems as though it could still realign and have enough time for July 1st start date.
I don't want, what I'm afraid of, if we did that, we'd be pressed for time, and we might have a rush to judgment, and I don't want that. And I know from the last time I went through it, that it took a long time for us to get answers back from some people. We would make phone calls, no one was there, they wouldn't, or we'd leave a message, they wouldn't call back, we'd have to call again. So there's the time is really of the essence. So I would say no. We need to stick to this.
Well, because I was thinking maybe we could, work on decide on the three options tonight.
No, we're going to definitely do that.
Right. No. And then, but okay, and can I keep going with my questions, or should I stop there? And because I have a couple of questions for Terry on these mock-ups.
What he said, the markups?
Yes, please.
Sure, go ahead.
Terry, on the one that's the procurement markup compliance, you highlighted qualification-based selection process. Are you going to be substituting RFQ in there, or I'm not understanding why some of that stuff is highlighted and what's going to be put in there per se?
Sure. So my attempt was to clarify. People probably are more familiar with requests for proposals. So a qualifications process is a slightly different process. So just pointing out that this process is an RFQ process. So it's qualifications based. So basically the packages are, and when I'm saying the packages, so the submittals from interested firms, they use forms, specific forms that give you background on projects. So its intent is to base the selection on projects and performance. It's not price based like a typical, like an RFP or an invitation for bids. So it's a contract that you're reviewing based upon the qualifications of the person. There are fees included as what would be as you issued work orders for individual projects, but the overall process is qualifications based. So it's a little bit different than a request for proposals or a bid where you're looking at the most maybe low bid. People are probably familiar with a low bid or bid and lowest response. The review threshold here is you're reviewing the qualifications of the firms putting in their statements of qualifications, which are the responses that get reviewed.
Again, when I've made corporate presentations, and again, this has nothing to do with that, instead of, chitting stuff in, again, that's why it's confusing as to what you want to substitute, or that's in reference to, or however you want to describe that. And before I jump ahead, I'm just curious. I know that my understanding now is that Gail's contract is up July 1st or the end of June. Are they going to be applying for this contract?
I would suspect so.
Oh,
Absolutely,
okay.
We'll be applying.
You will?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, okay, good. Because just keeping the continuance. All right. Let me see. Let's see where I have other questions. I don't see any. Oh, I've got some on the final page before the advisory circle thing. And again, I think you kind of addressed it, but you put in those 4 projects under commission is considering several capital improvements. None of those have been approved, but we're just putting those in because they're in the ARP and.
No, they're in the CIP, the capital improvement plan.
Excuse me?
They're in the capital improvement plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they haven't been approved by the town yet.
Oh, no, nothing's been approved.
No, I just, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I can point out, and that's what the language says, the proposed projects include, but are not limited to, but again, it's not anything that, it changes. It's just to represent a representative of what kind of projects to give the firms that are responding, some ability to highlight projects that are similar to what the commission might be considering. So, it would be to the, people who are responding, it would be best if they put in projects similar to what you have, tentatively programmed.
Or so that they know what we're looking for.
Exactly, right, for a better match, to make their case better.
That way we can compare apples and apples.
Yeah, right. That's why, I just wanted some clarification. Thank you.
Okay. Any other commissioners? Okay, let's go back to the options and let's talk about them for a little bit. Does anyone have any comments on the first one, the independent commissioner? Or need more information?
That's the one that we all have to fill out forms.
Everybody has to make calls. Everyone has to fill out forms. That's correct. Any question? Oh, go ahead.
No questions, but I've reviewed the package and all the options, and that's not my preferred one. I think
Okay.
number 2 is the best on that case.
All right, let's talk about number 2. I gave you all an overview of that a few minutes ago. I can speak pretty strongly on that one since I had gone through it. I even have some of my paperwork from before on that somewhere. I hope, and I can use that as an example as we go through this. I can show people what we've done and how it worked out. And then what happens with all of these, everything comes back to the commission in June, probably at our June meeting, and we make a decision at that time based on all the data that we've gathered over the preceding months. So then the subcommittee, I think that to me would provide a lot of overhead, and I'm not saying that in a positive way. I think it would take a while to get through that, especially with the posting of meetings, and it would be, I hate to say, it would be like the advisory committee. It would just be overwhelmingly difficult to get that done, especially given our time frame. I really do think that the working group is the most efficient way to do this, and what I'd like to do is have 2 volunteers, if we vote on that, which we're going to do in a minute. I'm going to look for volunteers to be involved in that working group.
May I ask a question, Mr.
Yeah,
Chair?
sure. Yep.
Instead of just having 2, might there be 3? Or you want to just limit it to 2?
Well, with 3, we're bordering on open meeting law issues, or we could be. So I've got to be very careful with that. With 2, we don't have a problem.
Because I would like to volunteer, but I'm not sure, because I have none of the background on this, that it might be helpful if there were at least yourself or somebody else equally as competent in this area.
Well, I will not be involved in it. I will be in there as an advisory capacity only, as chairman.
Okay.
And I know, if you remember what I said earlier, when I spoke with Mr. Burke, he and I were talking about this, and he said, if you go with the working group, he said he'd like to volunteer. So anyway, let's go forward with this, and see what one we want. I'll entertain a motion to. I don't want to go through each one. Let's just. Well, let's see if we can get a consensus first. Mr. Cortese.
Yeah, just had a question for you, Chairman Huntley. This, so you went through this before. What were the options that you had prior? And what were your experience? I think you gave a good description of them, but if the options were different, what were your experiences? I'm leaning towards number 2. I think that's a good way to go, but
This is just the same printout from before. The same options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same options. Okay.
It's pretty standard. It's pretty standard as I understand it.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I had and maybe just a couple of follow-on points, and just to clarify Commissioner Cortese's comment. So the commission did use the working group process the last time. Again, you know, the commission doesn't have staff, so this is somewhat of an administrative kind of approach. And then to get to Commissioner Wilcox's concern with, I think. And the chair, not to correct the chair, but the schedule that you had a decision contact date by the May meeting. But you know, if it took more time, you know, that could slip, you know, to the June meeting, and you could still get the paperwork in order if more work was needed, or as well. But the important thing is to get to really meet the deadlines, is to get the ads going and open the process, because you can always even extend the process and those types of things. So I don't know if that helps with Commissioner Wilcox's concern about, you know, I guess the back end of the schedule could get, you know, pushed out a little more if need be, if you need more time to come to a decision, and you could still meet a July 1 deadline. So I'm sorry I didn't pick up on that before, but I just wanted to correct, because I think the chair said June, but we have the May 12th, you know, decision target in here, but that could slip to June, just as he mentioned.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen. I appreciate that. When I did this last time, I was on I was just a commissioner, and I wasn't the chairman at the time, so I'm still kind of getting used to some of these things. All right, I think as you were talking, I think what I decided, we're going to take a vote on each one and see where we go. I think that'd be the best way to go. So can I have a motion for an independent commissioner, please?
Motion for independent commissioner.
Do I have a second? No second, then we move on. Motion for a working group.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got working group. Galen and Cortese. Okay, we've got a motion and a second for that. We can vote on that and see if it flies. And then we'll come back if we need to. We'll come back to the subcommittee. For the roll call, Commissioner Cortese.
Yes, but I see a hand for Mr. Whalen.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't see that.
And I apologize here. Yeah, so through the chair. So just so it's clear. So you, I know in the package there was a suggested motion. So are you looking to do a combination on both the selection of the the selection process and issuing the RFQ? Because
No,
it wasn't clear to me what the motion was.
I'm sorry. The motion is to select one of the three options first.
Okay.
And then we'll do the suggested motion with the insertion of the option that we select.
And if I could just add, as was pointed out to us, so the motion for the working group should also include language to the effect of to work with the town on procurement compliance.
Mr. Galen,
That's fine.
Would you like?
I accept Mr. Whalen's insertion into the amendment into the motion.
I accept the second.
Okay. Well, let's have a vote on that for the option, and we'll go down the line. Commissioner Cortese.
Yes.
This is for option 2.
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan.
Yes.
Commissioner Galen.
Yes.
Commissioner Owens.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox.
Yes.
And Commissioner Harrison, yes. So option 2 carries 6-0 for the working group. And now I'd like to have someone use the suggested motion with the insertion of the working group. And we'll make that motion and we will vote on that.
I'll be glad to.
Go ahead.
I move that the Airport Commission issue the 2021 Professional Consultant Services RFQ in accordance with the proposed schedule and select the working group Option to review submittals to the RFQ.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Any further discussion on the motion?
Gentlemen and women.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
you caught me.
I did.
Commissioners.
Commissioners, commissioners.
That too.
Yeah. All right.
The only comment I'd like to make is that, I think to give it more time than less is beneficial. So getting it done sooner than later and having it working is the best way to go.
Commissioner Galen, you had a question, a hand up?
No, that was from before. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And Mr. Whalen, you had your hand up. Are you done? Or you have more?
No, I had actually one more comment, that just to point out that, again, with this schedule, commissioners will have hard copies, included with their package pickup for April. So all commissioners will be getting all the information at the same time. So just to make that clear as well. So, because I know that schedule's pretty dense, but just if you didn't pick that up, that will also happen as part of your, so depending how many packages we get, we may or may not need a bigger mailbox, but we'll deal with that as they come in.
Yeah, they're all out there just clamoring to do it. Okay. So the motion has been made and seconded. We've discussed it. So we'll find out where we go with this. Commissioner Cortese,
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan,
Yes.
Commissioner Galen,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Yes.
and Commissioner Harrison, yes. The motion carries 6-0. All right. Now, with regard to the volunteers, the two volunteers, I'm not sure if I want to hesitate with 3, and I need, well, anyway, who are my volunteers?
Burke and me.
Pardon?
Commissioner Burke and me. And myself.
Well, I know Commissioner Burke would like to do it.
I'll work with just him. That's fine.
And anybody else? Okay, good. All right, thank you very much. And we will get information to you as it happens, but we'll start the wheels in motion now, and we'll go forward. Let's see. I believe we have just some last public comments, and then we have any last comments from the commissioners. So the public is welcome to chime in at this time. See who I've got. Hold on a second. Oh, Mr. Whalen, is your hand still up? No. Yes? No. Ms. Wilcox, your hand is still up. Do you have more?
No.
Okay, sorry. All right. Ms. Lofgren.
Yes, Chairman Harrison, at the end of the last month's meeting, we ran out of time for questions. So I have a question left over from that meeting. And it is one with regards to the new approaches. Resident was worried about the increased frequency of landings and the type of frequency for the new approaches. And Mr. Cortese replied that only a small percentage of pilots will be able to use these approaches. I quote that. So my question is for Mr. Cortese. Are you one of the pilots who will be able to utilize these new approaches?
Yes, with a significant upgrade to my instrumentation. The instrumentation I currently have on my aircraft only works for the current approaches.
But you will be upgrading to use the new approach?
When these approaches get put in, because it's a safer way to come in.
Okay, so the answer to that would be yes. Yes, with an upgrade. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Gibbs.
Yes, thank you. This is regarding the letter that you wrote to the planning board, which I appreciated, but I just want to go back. I didn't feel comfortable with the ultimate result of that conversation. This is regarding a proposed bylaw amendment for the West Chatham corridor. And on their mapping, they show a zone 1, 2, and 3 that are all within the RPZ, the runway protection zone, and it allows for multifamily dwellings within there and special conditions, to allow conversion to multifamily dwelling. Now, I had read last time, and I'm going to read it again. Land uses prohibited within the RPZ are residences, places of public assembly, churches, schools, hospitals, office buildings, shopping centers, and other uses with similar concentrations of persons, typically places of public assembly. Now, the FAA representative last time when I brought this up said that the FAA are not the enforcers. Okay, but when you prohibit something, there has to be enforcement. And what I heard tonight is nobody's enforcing it. And except Terry Whalen said, well, it'll be voted on at town meeting. That's not the job of town meeting to determine whether or not we are in violation of recommendations and things that are prohibited. We've got 12 commissioners between the Airport Commission and the Planning Board. And I don't even think it's the Planning Board because they're not experts on the Airport Commission. I believe that's your responsibility as the Airport Commission and the sponsors of the town, which are the people, to notify the Planning Board, not make a recommendation, not request, but to notify them that no places of public assembly, particularly residences, are permitted within the RPZ. And if you don't do it, what is the point of prohibiting something if no one's willing to take responsibility for enforcement? And if you don't think you're the enforcers, which I believe you are as the airport commissioners, then who is? And it certainly isn't the general public who has absolutely no knowledge or understanding of what an RPZ even is.
Well, as far as I know, and we are not the enforcers. We have no jurisdiction other than recommendations outside the airport. That's all we can do. And I believe that's what's stated in that letter. And I said I'd be more than happy to talk with the planning board about it. I hate to say it, but I think that train left the station a long time ago when houses were put in those zones.
Well,
we have no control over that.
To keep making bad decisions. You don't make it worse by increasing density with affordable housing.
I would agree with you.
Well, yeah, but you can't, I think you need to find out. Somebody needs to find out besides me writing, the FAA and or the Attorney General to find out when it says it's prohibited, that means there are consequences that you cannot do it and somebody needs to enforce it. And if the airport commissioners are not willing to tell the planning board, you can't do that because it says here it's prohibited, then who the heck does that?
Well, I would say we could tell them not to do it.
Well, that would be great.
But we can't enforce it. We can tell them not to do it.
By the airport commissioners, who are the sponsors of the town, who represent the people, by you telling the planning board, it is prohibited to put multifamily, any housing within the RPZ, which is defined as X, then they do so at their own risk. And then if they put a bylaw in and it goes to the Attorney General for approval, because they all do, then there are consequences. I don't think, if you told them they can't do that, I don't think they would do it. I don't think they understand what the RPZ is and the implications of actually putting dwellings of families within a runway protection zone that by definition is only permitted to not attract wildlife outside of the runway area. And it's supposed to be basically free of any obstructions. And they don't even like parking lots within the RPZ.
Yeah,
so how you can
I understand all of this. I understand all of it. But I mean, I can go to the planning board meeting and I can say that, the RPZs are there, and that's a done deal. They're not going to expand. They're going to stay as just exactly as they are. And, you know, the houses and the businesses and parking lots and what have you that are in those zones now, you know, we can't go through and take them down in eminent domain. You know,
I'm not
that's not going
suggesting
to happen.
that. All
I can say to them is that, you know, perhaps mistakes were made in the past, but now all I can say is that you should work very hard to limit any further density in the RPZ area.
I think what would be better is, as the airport commissioner or the commission, is to write a letter to the planning board, send them the map of the RPZ, and state exactly what is in the FAA regulation, that land use within it is prohibited for all those reasons. And then they have that in writing, so that if Ocean State moves out and they want to put in 100 homes, we aren't faced with that problem, because that's what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And if you don't set the standard now, because they are looking to massively increase the density in that corridor, it has to be outside of the RPZ. And that's the role of the Airport Commission, to enforce those protections for the people in Chatham. And going to a meeting isn't going to help. It has to be in writing. And you just simply say, this is the RPZ, and this is what can't be done.
I did send the one letter. I can certainly send another, and maybe put a little more emphasis in it. But right now, like I said, the ball is in the planning board's, court.
I guess my concern is that you're not, this isn't personal. You're just quoting what the FAA says. Here's our RPZ, in case you don't know. Here is the location of it, and there can't be any land use for residences or places of assembly within this zone. So when you're creating your bylaw, you have to take that into consideration. And then your job is done. You have notified them. Then if they choose to ignore it, they do so at their peril. But I think that's your role, to protect the public from to enforce, because prohibited means there's enforcement. If there's no enforcement,
I'm more than happy to go to the meeting and make a strong argument in that case.
I disagree that that's not how you do it. You write a letter.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, this is Terry Whalen. I did touch base with the Community Development Department, and there should be a response forthcoming looking to set up some type of coordination meeting. So we didn't have it at the time of this meeting, but we're anticipating that soon. So as soon as we get that, and again, the expectation is that there'll be coordination follow-up suggested in that letter.
Okay.
I would just make one more statement. I do not understand the absolute resistance and reluctance to put anything in writing, because that's why in 2 years we're going to have the same problem again. If the Airport Commission put that in writing, it's super clear, then the planning board should rule and make decisions based on that. This not being willing to put stuff in writing when this is, critical to the safety of the people within the RPZ, and unwitting people are buying properties or renting properties not knowing that they shouldn't actually be there, because it's, by the FAA standards, it's dangerous. So I don't understand why you don't want to put it in writing. That's the way.
I never said I didn't.
Well, then
I never said I didn't want to put it in writing. I'm more than happy to go to a meeting. I'm more than happy to write another letter. And that's basically all I can do.
And just quote the section B of the FAA regulation regarding runway protection zones. It's kind of simple. All right, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Bixby, I know you've been waiting patiently. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is why this is to follow up on what Elaine was saying. This is why it's so important that we understand who the sponsor is, because when you agreed to accept money from the FAA, you agreed to grant assurances, and those grant assurances, one of them is you have an obligation through zoning to prevent the kinds of uses of land within the runway protection zone that is prohibited under FAA policy. You agreed to that. When you talk about consequences, the consequence is from the FAA. The consequence is loss of future airport funds. That's why when you talk about who the sponsor is, it's not enough to say that it's the airport commission acting on behalf of the town. The town does, you do not have the authority to do zoning. The town does have that authority. That's why the town should be the sponsor, and you should act in the interest of the town, but and in compliance with Massachusetts law. But the town can't abdicate these responsibilities that it has. This is why it's important that we understand that the town is the sponsor. The town, in agreeing to grant assurances, has the responsibility for ensuring compliance with the grant assurances. One of those grant assurances is specifically addresses development within the runway protection zone. Do you understand that?
I'm with you 100%. I'm not arguing that.
I agree. You
But
would,
like I said a little bit ago, I think that train has left the station historically because there are houses and businesses in the RPZs right now.
Right now, the train has not left the station. There's another train coming, to put it a different way.
Well, I guess you could say that.
Has designs on the runway protection zone. The town has an obligation to talk to the planning board to ensure that that doesn't happen. You should be coordinating with the selectmen and the whoever those other, the planning board, to ensure that the kinds of development that Elaine is talking about does not happen.
I agree with you. I'm not arguing that.
Take the lead on this or abdicate your responsibility, but be upfront about it so that
where are you going with this? I'm not going to abdicate anything. I told you a few minutes ago I would be involved with it. We will write another letter. So I'm not abdicating anything. Mr. Whalen, you had your hand up.
He probably didn't put it
Go ahead, Mr. Whalen.
Sorry, I muted by mistake there. Sorry about that. Yeah, so again, you'll be getting a letter for follow-up coordination and that type of thing. And you do need to remember, in the context of the guidance and everything to it, it's really geared towards when the airport commission controls the land, where they then therefore might control it's covering a broad range of jurisdictions. So, but your point is well taken. Your analogy is excellent on the kind of the new train coming into the station. So, a lot of the other uses are protected. Massachusetts has lots of, and quite frankly, some of it, even the airport predates even RPZs being articulated. So, but your point is a good one. And again, I think the chair mentioned that, he's going to continue to reinforce that fact that, what should not be in the RPZ from a land use perspective under a new proposal.
All right. Do you have one last question?
I'm done.
Mr. Bixby, are you done? Okay. All right. I think that does it. Commissioners, do you have any last comments? I'll go down the list. Commissioner Cortese, do you have any last comment? Okay.
Nope, no comment.
Okay. Commissioner Donovan?
No comment. Thanks.
Commissioner Galen?
Not tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Owens?
I'd just like to say, if you're going to oversee the process of the RFQ and keep it moving online smoothly, we need, need people that can work together and keep it moving forward at a good speed.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye on it. Yep. Commissioner Wilcox, yeah. Any last comments?
No.
Nope. Okay, I do have a last comment that I'd like to make. And this is a response to the Community Speaks website. As many of you may already know, a website has been created by a group who calls themselves the Community Speaks. It was mentioned in a letter to the editor in last week's Cape Cod Chronicle, and also in an article that appeared in today's paper electronically and tomorrow's paper version with regard to an interview that I had with the Cape Cod Chronicle. I'm not going to take the time to comment on or judge the website, as I will leave that up to others. All I will say is that the Airport Commission pages on the town website are where one will find all the factual documents regarding the airport master plan update, and the ancillary facts and data that support what the Airport Commission has been doing over the last several years. You can also find the minutes of the commission meetings on the minutes and agendas link on the town website. I want everyone to know that the Airport Commission takes the safety and security of all citizens very seriously, whether they are pilots or people on the ground. All of our decisions are based on that premise. So if anyone has any questions or would like more information, please email the Airport Commission and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Galen. A second?
Second.
Hello?
Second.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Okay. Okay, we've got a motion and a second to adjourn. Commissioner Cortese,
Yes.
Commissioner Donovan,
Yes.
Commissioner Galen,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilcox,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrison, yes. I want to thank you all very much, and thank you, Mr. Whalen, Mr. Karen, and the people behind the scenes, Mark Van Bork and Craig Rowe. Thank you so much for your help in getting these meetings going. I appreciate it. Thank you. See you next.